வணக்கம் and welcome to Breakthroughs and Blunders, TiE Chennaiயோட Entrepreneur Tales podcast, where success meets chaos and blunders turn into brilliance. Get ready for real stories, raw insights, and a few laughs, all in Tanglish as we dive into the wild world of entrepreneurship. Let's shake it down. இன்னைக்கு நம்ம கூட வந்திருக்கிறவர் ராம் விஸ்வநாதன். From a long distance away, a board member of TiE Dallas and the former president of TiE Dallas. இவரோட எனக்கு பிடிச்ச விஷயம் என்னென்னா, எப்போ நம்ம சைடு வந்தாலுமே இம்மிடியேட்டாக TiE சென்னைக்கு ஃபோன் பண்ணி ஏதாவது சார்ட்டர் மெம்பர் டின்னர் என்ன ஈவெண்ட் இருக்கோ ராம் பட்டக்குன்னு வந்து கலந்து எல்லாரோடையும் பேசிகிட்டு இருப்பார். இப்போ வந்தது கூட TiE குளோபல் சம்மிட் பெங்களூரில் ஒரு போன வாரம் நடந்தது. அதில் ராம் கேம் டு பார்ட்டிசிபேட். ஒரு சான்ஸ் மீட்டிங் அங்கே மீட் பண்ண உடனே வரீங்களான்னா எஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி துள்ளி குதிச்சு நம்ம ஓப்பனிங் செக்ஷனுக்கே வந்துட்டார். வெல்கம் ராம், வெல்கம் டு திஸ் பாட்காஸ்ட்.
Thank you so much, Pravin. It's a real honor to be here and always happy and delighted to be meet with my friends here in Chennai, TiE Chennai in particular. So I'm looking forward to this session.
Ram. So the opening is again a low full toss for you to hit whichever part of the boundary you want to hit. எங்க வேணாலும் அடிக்கலாம். Which is talking about yourself. Ram Viswanathan யார், உங்க entrepreneurial career journey எப்படி இருந்தது, அதை பற்றி கொஞ்சம் சொல்லுங்களேன்.
Absolutely. So to go back a little bit in time, I went to IIT. I'm a Delhiite basically. Even though my roots go back to, as the name suggests, my roots go back to Chennai and further south. I was born in Nagaur, but I grew up in Delhi, went to IIT Roorkee, worked a little bit in telco, Pune, Tata Motors is where I started my journey, and then very quickly I went abroad and I was doing my graduate work in computer science. But I spent a lot of years in corporate America, and before the entrepreneurial bug bit me, and I started building my businesses. I bootstrapped, built, and grew a portfolio of vertical SaaS companies under the Nathan Research banner. So we have a portfolio of few companies, 3-4 companies that are all around the theme of helping specific verticals, construction, retail, telecom, these sectors deal with their workflows, deal with their sales and operations, planning, analytics, and all that goes along with it. So they're all under management. These businesses are all under management now. I also have an investment portfolio of companies that I've invested in, startups that are in this space or adjacent sectors. So that's what primarily has been my journey in short. Of course, as you mentioned earlier, I've been involved in the TiE community globally and in Dallas in particular, and built a number of programs there. The TiE program, the TiE Women program, TiE University program, and the Angel program. And as part of my journey, I had the opportunity to mentor a number of youngsters, and it gives a lot of pressure, a lot of satisfaction for me doing that.
Very interesting. Ram, in the same journey, you spoke about a portfolio of companies in a vertical setup. Your very first company, what was that? How did that start about? Ram, நீங்கள் சொன்னது ஒரு போர்ட்ஃபோலியோ ஆஃப் கம்பெனிஸ் இப்போ வச்சுருக்கீங்க அண்டர் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட், அதாவது வேறு சிஇஓஸ் வேறு மக்கள் அதை பார்த்துட்ருக்காங்க. முதல்ல ஆரம்பித்த கம்பெனி எது, எப்படி ஆரம்பிச்சிங்க? வாட் இஸ் தட் ஸ்டோரி பிஹைண்ட் ராம்?
I had a certain thesis. Now, அதுக்கு முன்னாடி I had built a consulting business for Ernst & Young. So in that journey, I had encountered a number of CXOs that were struggling with their day-to-day operations and not being able to make use of some of the software that had purchased. And I noticed that theme again and again, and it struck me that there must be something that can be done about it. So I zoomed in on this construction vertical because it had a interesting combination of having the need to both optimize labor and materials both. And material optimization was pretty standard, but the labor optimization was not. So service sectors were particularly struggling, construction, retail, telecom. So I remember doing a lot of research in the sectors. I went through an article in Wall Street Journal article about home remodeling and construction in particular. And there was a name of the company mentioned there, and it was a public company, small company, but it was located in Dallas, where I was. I still am. And did a lot of research into that. And as you know, in reports, in the public discourses, a lot of people don't read all that material. There's a lot of wealth of information there. And people looking for ideas and trying to figure out if they can build a business around it can often find some gold nuggets. So we did that. We went through the material and we found out there were some things we could do to this particular company that was based in our backyard. And we put together a little plan of action and said, these are things we could do to optimize your supply chain and give us an opportunity to come and meet with you. And waited for a few days, and all of a sudden I got a call one day saying, we read your note and we would like to have you come in and meet with our CEO for an hour. And I was super delighted. I said, all right, this is a great opportunity for us. We prepared the heck out of what we could, and then the 1 hour meeting ended up becoming a 6 hour long session. And by the end of that, we knew we were going to get an engagement there. And it became a very key point in our journey, because that relationship has continued for several years. And in fact, the chairman of that company became a mentor, a very senior gentleman. But we were able to work with him on the company itself, and we first put a number of processes together. We showed improvements, both top line and bottom line, and we made a deal with them that the assets we create, the software we create, will be ours, and we would have the opportunity to build a business out of it. And they are perfectly fine with that. And that's how it started. And in bootstrap manner, I didn't borrow a penny and kept it cash flow positive and profitable from day one. Right or wrong, that's how the business has started. And ever since then, a number of other such opportunities came by. We will identify a problem. We will think of a solution and try to deploy it and see if there is some traction. If there is adoption, we'll make a product out of it. We'll make a business out of it, and there it will create a trajectory of its own. So we did this half a dozen times. And of course, along the way, I know we are going to get to some of the things that didn't work. And we've come up with some ideas that didn't really see the light of the day at that time, but they came about, it became interesting later on. So that's how it all started. And now it's several years later, and things are in good shape. And as I mentioned, they're under management. The business is under management. I don't have to babysit them. But I'm still involved from a strategy, guidance, advice standpoint, and I'm always interested in where the puck is headed. So I'm looking at, okay, what next? So
very, very interesting. That's quite an interesting approach, Ram. இப்போ ராம் என்ன சொன்னார் அப்படின்னா, ஏற்கனவே கன்சல்டண்ட்டாக இருந்தப்போ பல சிஎக்ஸோட பேசிகிட்டு இருந்திருக்காரு. ஒவ்வொரு சிஇஓவும் ஒவ்வொரு பிரச்சனை, இது எனக்கு ப்ராப்ளமாக இருக்குப்பா, இது ஒரு பெயின் பாயிண்ட்டாக இருக்குன்னு அவர் எல்லாத்தையும் ஸ்டடி பண்ணிவிட்டு, இதை பற்றி ஏதாவது பண்ணால் என்ன, அந்த நோக்கத்தோட இவர் ஒரு ஆண்டர்ப்ரனராக மாறியிருக்காரு. மாறினது மட்டும் இல்லாமல், என்ன கேட்டிங்கன்னா, குறிப்பாக அவர் பண்ணது வந்து ஃப்ராக்டல் அப்படிம்பாங்க. அந்த குறிப்பிட்ட ஒரு கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன் இண்டஸ்ட்ரியை மட்டும் எடுத்து ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ணி அதில் ஒரு வர்டிக்கலில் பில்ட் பண்ணிருக்காரு. அதுலேயும் ரொம்ப வித்தியாசமாக என்ன சொல்லியிருக்காருன்னா, அங்கே யுனைடெட் ஸ்டேட்ஸ் எடுத்துக்கிட்டிங்கன்னா எல்லோரும், அதுவும் பப்ளிக் கம்பெனியெல்லாம் டாக்குமெண்ட்டை கொடுக்கணும், டாக்குமெண்ட்டில் பப்ளிக் டிஸ்க்ளோசர் கொடுக்கணும், யார் எட்ட கடன் வாங்கியிருக்கேன், என்ன செய்ய போகிறோம் எப்படின்னு. பல பேர் அந்த பப்ளிக் டிஸ்க்ளோசர்லாம் படிக்க மாட்டாங்க. ஆனால் ராம் என்ன பண்ணிருக்காருன்னா, அதை படித்தா அதுலேயே ஏகப்பட்ட ஐடியா வந்திருக்கு. அந்த ஐடியாவில் ஆஹா இவ்வளோ பிரச்சனைகள் இருக்கான்னு பார்த்து என்ன பண்ணாங்க, ராம ஒரு டீமு வந்து ஒரு டாக்குமெண்ட்டை கொடுத்து விட்டாங்க. இப்போ நீங்கள் கேட்டிங்கன்னா, ஜேகேயோட பாட்காஸ்ட் கேட்டிங்கன்னா இதே மாதிரி வேல்யூ ஆட், எனக்கு நீ பிஸ்னஸ் கொடுக்குறியோ இல்லையோ, உனக்கு நான் நாலேஜ் கொடுக்குறேன், இப்படிலாம் நீ ப்ராப்ளமாக சால்வ் பண்ணலாம் அப்படி அனுப்பி அதில் ஒருத்தர் கூப்பிட்டு ராம, ஆஹா ரொம்ப இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங்காக இருக்குது வந்து பாருப்பான்னு அந்த 1 மணி நேரம் மீட்டிங் 6 மணி நேரம் போயிட்டு பல பிஸ்னஸ் அங்கேருந்து வந்திருக்கு. அருமையான ஜேர்னி. பல லெசன்ஸ் நமக்கு ராம் கொடுத்துருக்காரு. ஆனால் ராம் இதோட விட முடியுமா? இல்லை, பல கேள்விகள் இருக்கு. ராம், shifting tack to failure files. We are very, very interested as entrepreneurs to know what failures, you don't have to talk about all of them, but one or two which you still carry forward as lessons, as analysis, and something that we can learn from. So would you like to give us an example?
Yeah, along the journey, we come up with ideas. There is often this excitement about a new idea, about a new prospective business we could build. Sometimes it doesn't pan out, and I'll give you an example. We were thinking early on as we built out our platform, which handles initial lead acquisition to sales consultation to operations to fulfillment to analytics. We had built an entire platform, but in every one of these areas, we look at what more can be done in the whole sales consultant process. In construction, in home remodeling, there's a design element. So we would often ask ourselves, could we make this more efficient? Could we introduce AI into this and see if we can automatically detect contours of a space? Let's say if we take a picture of a kitchen or a bathroom or a living room, can we automatically determine the dimensions of this space and be able to transform the space in a more technology friendly way that employs AI. So, great idea. We thought we could get it done. We got the product built. However, what we realized is the consumers, they have a slightly different take on things. You feel that, and by the way, this problem is not easy to solve. It's a lot of math, a lot of science involved in making this happen. And we were carried away by that. We built a product and we said, this has to work. This has to be in need. As it turns out, no, they have a slightly different notion. And it's not just this one product. There are other products also. And they require precision. On corner of a countertop or a corner of a cabinet, if it's slightly misaligned, that is a big no-no for a consumer. And, from their perspective, it makes sense. But so what it taught us was building a product is one thing, but building a business out of it is a whole another thing. So, and that lesson we have learned, and now we have not given up the dreaming. We have not given up building new ideas, new products, and all that. But we are always conscious to get a very early pulse of the customer, and maybe a very standard thing, and it may be very well understood concept. But in spite of that, that excitement still is there, and sometimes we carry it too far. And to be able to draw the balance between that dreamy vision and what practically can be built into a business is a balancing act we have to constantly be aware of. So we are, I think, better judges of what will stick,
right,
and what is prudent to build. And even now, there's a half a dozen products that are on the shelf, but I think it may be a little premature, but we will keep tinkering with it. And at the right time, when the market is ready, we'll be ready. And along the same lines, I also want to point out, a lot of businesses do need to take the pulse of the customer very seriously, and we have that constant engagement with the customers. Very few entrepreneurs, very few visionaries have the ability, and the only name I can think of is Steve Jobs. He's known for the theory that the customer doesn't know, he has to tell them. That's how the products came about from Apple, right? But there is some of that still happens in other businesses, but a lot of us, we have to get a constant pulse of the customer.
Oh, thank you, Ram. ராம்கிட்ட கேட்டது தோல்விகளை தழுவியிருக்கிறீர்களா என்று. கண்டிப்பாக அவர் சொன்ன எக்ஸாம்பிள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, பயங்கரமாக ரிசர்ச் பண்ணி ஒரு ப்ராடக்டை பில்ட் பண்ணிவிட்டு கஸ்டமர்கிட்ட எடுத்துகிட்டு போனால் கஸ்டமர் வேறு ஏதோ மனசில் வச்சிட்ருக்காங்க, செட்டே ஆகலை. அப்படி பண்ணுற அந்த ப்ராடக்ட்டு கண்டிப்பாக சக்ஸஸ் ஆகிறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. ஸோ இவங்க என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, இன்னொரு அருமையான ஒரு வித்தியாசம் சொன்னார். ப்ராடக்ட் பில்டிங் இஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் ஃப்ரம் பிஸ்னஸ் பில்டிங். நீங்கள் ப்ராடக்ட்டை ஒரு பிரச்சனைக்காக சால்வ் பண்ணுறீங்க, ஆனால் அந்த பிரச்சனையை புரிஞ்சுட்டு கஸ்டமர் வாங்கினா தான் பிஸ்னஸ் வளரும். அதை புரியறதுக்கு நீங்கள் கஸ்டமரை எவ்வளோ புரிஞ்சிட்ருக்கீங்க. நீங்கள் ப்ராடக்ட்டை யோசிக்கும் போதே ஏர்லி கஸ்டமர் பல்ஸ் அப்படின்னு சொன்னார். அப்போவே கஸ்டமரை கூப்பிட்டு அவங்க மைண்டில் என்ன இருக்குது, என்ன வித்தியாசமாக பார்க்குறாங்க, அதை பார்த்துட்டு அந்த கஸ்டமர் பல்ஸை பார்த்துட்டே இருந்தால் தான் நமக்கும் ப்ராடக்ட் பில்டிங், பிஸ்னஸ் பில்டிங்க்கும் வசதியாக இருக்கும். இல்லைனா நம்ம ஒரு பக்கம் போவோம், அவங்க ஒரு பக்கம் போயிட்டுருப்பாங்க, பிஸ்னஸ் பாடும் கிணறுல போய் முடிஞ்சிட்ருக்கோம். அருமையான லெசன். எனி அதர் ஃபெயிலியர்ஸ் தட் யூ கேன் டாக் அபவுட், ராம்?
There's been a number of those that we have learned lessons from. I think comes to mind right at the top of my head right now. That is the best example I can give you right now.
Oh, beautiful. Lovely. So moving forward, to who is Ram Viswanathan as a person, as the entrepreneur, not with the company, but who is Ram Viswanathan? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What
Sure.
keeps you busy?
Sure. So business building obviously is something that I love. Working with youngsters, engaging with them, generating new ideas is a source of a lot of satisfaction. I read and a lot of historical figures that have gone through some amazing journeys. There's a lot of lessons buried in that. So I draw inspiration from that. We also have to keep ourselves fit, and not just physically, mentally, in a wholesome way. Most importantly, philosophically speaking, we have to measure we are all getting to a stage where we have done that, we've been there, done that. We build businesses, kids are grown, and I've been very fortunate and blessed to have two wonderful children. Both of them doing very well. My son went to Stanford, graduated from there. My daughter went to Carnegie Mellon, and so they're doing well. A lot of satisfaction having built companies and having given gainful employment to a number of people, hundreds of people, both here and in the U.S. We are at a point where we are trying to determine what kind of legacy and impact do you want to be known for. So I think about that, and I ask myself what more could be done. And of course, through business, a lot of that happens automatically. In addition to that, there are other venues also. I golf.
All right.
And I go on long walks. I do nature hikes. In fact, we just went on a company-wide trip. We took the entire company to Coorg the last week, and we had a great time. We had a lot of team building and bonding and adventure sports. Went to a coffee plantation. Went to Elephant Camp Reserve. So I like to travel. I went to various countries in the last couple of years: Croatia, Brazil, Japan, a bunch of other places. Even in India, there are so many places I've not been to. So I intend to do some more of that.
You got a travel bucket list there. Very nice. Yes. Very interesting to hear. Shifting track, Ram, in your early days, what challenges did you face while hiring your initial team or the next level team?
Sure. So I don't know if you would categorize them as challenges, but definitely learnings. Okay, so we had certain needs, both here and in the US, and I think the two markets offer different lessons. But in general, we look for certain qualities in an individual. Obviously, talent, aptitude is important, but more importantly, attitude is even more important. And one other thing I noticed is, especially here, hiring them young and grooming them, coaching them, mentoring them, and helping them grow has been very successful, very good for both us, both the company and the individuals. We develop a sense of belonging for the hires that makes it a true relationship, good relationship. They're all like an extension of my family. And but what we have found is hiring them young, fresh off the college, or maybe within a few years of experience, and then training them through our process has been very successful for us. But we have had to go through very rigorous. We have very rigorous processes. We conducted multiple interviews, 10 rounds of interviews with different levels. And my rough formula is I had to start with 100. My funnel starts with 100 people to get to one good hire. And it goes through various...
Well, that's your challenge.
That's my challenge. And unfortunately, no offense, but the education system, as we all know, does only so-so job in terms of training them, making them employable,
How
And
can you
so,
say that, Ram? I learned so much from trigonometry and Boyle's law and Charles' law that I've never ever used in my business or life in general.
so they might have learned the theories, but to be able to apply it to business problem solving is a skill. And
Yes.
so we try to look for those skills. Are they flexible? Are they able to think and be able to solve problems? And that's a necessary trait. And some of this can be taught, but some of it has to be natural. And we put them through all that. And along those lines, we do look at grade, we do look at GPAs and all that, but we don't emphasize too much on those metrics. We actually get to know the person through our interview process. And that has been a very good way for us to filter through the pool that exists and to get to the kind of hire that we got.
So I would like to share something about Dorai Todla, the late Dorai Todla, who's been a mentor to so many startups here. I've had the privilege of working with him shoulder to shoulder at a lot of TiE Chennai initiatives. He was also an entrepreneur in residence in my company. Connecting with what you are telling in terms of application of knowledge. And he sat with me through to help me out, hire some people.
Sure.
And he would reject. And he will only say 2 words. Cannot abstract, no abstraction, which means the kind of leaders we are looking at, the players, given a context, they should abstract what the need is and be able to convert it into application.
Sure.
Not just be in the theoretical framework.
Right.
And thanks to him, that is something significant that I have learned. தமிழில் சொல்லணும்னா துரை தொடலா பல பேர் பார்த்துருப்பீங்க. போன வருஷம் தான் காலமானார். TiE சென்னைக்கு பெரிய வாலண்டியர். நான் அவர் கூட வேலை பண்ணுறதுக்கு நிறைய 10 வருஷத்துக்கு மேலே கொடுத்து வச்சுருக்கேன் TiE சென்னை வாலண்டியரிங்கில். ஸோ அவர் இன்டர்வியூ பண்ணும்போது இப்போ ராம் சொன்ன மாதிரி படித்தது மட்டும் போகாது, கிரேடு மட்டும் போகாது, அதை அப்ளை பண்ண தெரியுமா? என்ன படிச்சிருக்கியோ அதை நீ வேலையில் அப்ளை பண்ணால் தான் உனக்கு ஒர்க் அவுட் ஆகும். இல்லை நம்மளுக்கு ஆண்டர்ப்ரனராக நமக்கு ஒர்க் அவுட் ஆகும். ஸோ துரை தோடலா சொன்னது வந்து நோ அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ஷன் அப்படின்றவர். அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ஷனுங்கிறது ஒரு ஆங்கில வார்த்தை. அதாவது நான் ஒரு சிஇஓ மாதிரி ஐடியா சொன்னால் எதுக்கு அந்த ஐடியா கொடுத்துருக்கேன், எதனால் இதை வச்சு என்ன பண்ண முடியும், அதை செஞ்சுட்டு வர ஆளுக்கு தான் அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ஷன், அது புரிகிற ஆளுக்கு தான் அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ஷனுங்கிற அந்த கான்செப்டை கொண்டு வந்தார். ராமும் அதே மாதிரி தான் சொன்னார். ஹையர் பண்ணுற ஆட்கள் சின்ன வயசுலேயே கேஷ் தம் யங், ஆனால் இந்த அப்ளிகேஷன் இருக்கிற மக்கள் இருக்கணும். ஸோ அவரோட பெரிய சேலஞ்சு ஒருத்தர் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு 100 பேரை கடைஞ்சி எடுக்க வேண்டியிருக்கு. அதான் அவரோட ஹையரிங் ஃபனல். பியூட்டிஃபுல். ஸோ இந்த ஹையரிங் ஃபனல்லேருந்து இப்போ கொஞ்சம் மாறப்போகிறோம். ராம், shifting from this hiring funnel to a marketing funnel, especially in your initial days. Were there any learnings in marketing that you encountered that you can share with us?
Sure. So these industries that I talked about, at least some of them were not very mature, and they are still actually maturing. Even in the States, for example, it's a very large market. Construction is a very $500 billion market. But apart from some few large companies, the rest of the companies are mid-market or small mom and pops. So it's very fragmented. There's a long tail. So our solutions, we have a lot of enterprise experience. So our solutions, we had very early on, we had to build it in such a way that it can be applied both by applicable both in the enterprise sense as well as the mid-market and the small companies. So for the same reason, our approach to marketing had to be a little different in that we had to go to industry conferences, we needed to talk to domain experts, because it requires a unique combination of understanding of the industry, the sales savviness, the marketing traits that you're looking for, but then also technology. And bringing these two together, all these 3 ingredients together, is a little bit of a challenge. And we had to actually, again, going back to the training, grooming, coaching that I talked about, that's the approach we had to take. And so we had built relationships with industry bodies, trade journals, We would go to conferences and get the name out. And that has been the grassroots level marketing efforts that we had to do. I'll be honest, our presence on social media has not been all that great, and no particular reason, because a lot of the industry players didn't actually engage too much in social media. Now it's changing, so we are also adapting to that. But that's the kind of market we are looking at. And a lot of referrals. And this is another key lesson. We take care of the customer, go overserve them if needed. But they are your best champions. They can be great marketers, salesmen for you, if you do a good job and take care of them. And you can never take it for granted that you have a great. And we are very fortunate. The largest home improvement retailer is a customer of ours. Largest builder is a customer of ours. These are all Fortune 50 companies. One of the largest telecom carriers is a customer of ours. And then we have a number of mid-market companies also. But we lean on them a lot in terms of we are not shy to ask for referrals when you're talking to some other prospect and have them put in a good word for us.
That is brilliant. தமிழில் சொல்லணும்னா வெக்கப்படாத அப்படின்றாரு. ஒரு இடத்த பிடிச்சாரு, அந்த இடத்துல டீப்பாக போனார், அருமையான வேலை செஞ்சார், கேட்குறதுக்கு தயக்கப்படலை. அண்ட் அதே போல் வேர்ட் ஆஃப் மவுத் ரெஃபரல் க்ரோத்தில் ஃபினாமினலாக வளர்ந்துருக்காரு. அவங்க மார்க்கெட்டிங் லெசன் எப்படின்னா, நல்ல வேலை செய்ய, நல்லவங்களுக்கு வேலை செய்ய, ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக அதுவும் ஒரு ஏற்கனவே நம்ம கவர் பண்ண ஃப்ளைவீல் கான்செப்டில் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக வரும். Ram, you spoke about earlier that you read a lot and you follow a lot of historical figures. And
sure.
Can you name a book that
Absolutely.
has impacted you?
Absolutely. It brings a smile to my face when you ask me that question because I'm a history buff.
All right.
And some of the big names in history I've been fascinated by, and I read the biographies. And specifically Leonardo da Vinci, Walter Isaacson's biography of Da Vinci, and Walter Isaacson also wrote a biography on Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. So I've read them all, and these are all very inspirational figures. I'll get to some more details of why they particularly appeal to me in a second. So then along with that, I've read a few other books lately. I'm just talking about recently. The Sapiens. I don't know if you know.
Yes,
Sapiens. Amazing summary of human civilization in general, and how it has progressed over the years from the early years, days of dinosaur to now, and where is it headed? What have we learned? What are some of the myths? And so that and then, from a philosophical standpoint, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's one of the favorite books of mine. And recently, I read it when I was in college, but I recently reread it. And, some of our philosophies and belief systems are also constantly evolving, changing. I consider myself a spiritual person and religious to some extent, but we have questioned some of the concepts, precepts over the time, and we continue to do that. But I think Doug Adams in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy does a very good job of giving it a whole new perspective. And one note about some of these figures, especially Da Vinci, right? We think we have done amazing things sitting here today and in our journeys, respective journeys. But imagine these guys in the 1500s when he was analyzing the nature, basically, how birds fly and how nature works and all that. He did it all, painting all these things and analyzing the human body. All this, he did so many things with primitive, what technology? There's no technology, not even electricity. And the things they found, and Da Vinci especially found and wrote about in his manuscripts, just you would sit back and think, are these people even human? And more recently, whatever you might think of Musk, I know that politically it can become a hot topic. I don't want to go into the politics of it, but some of the things he's done is just amazing. One time on a road trip from Canada all the way to San Francisco when he was changing universities, he's supposed to have, I don't know if this is true or not, in the book it mentions this, he's supposed to have pulled over because the car wasn't running fast enough for him. He converted a 4-speed BMW engine to a 5-speed BMW engine on the roadside. So things like that. And even more recently, he sleeps on the factory floor in Tesla, and that's the kind of engagement it shows. So whatever he might think of as for political philosophy, some of the things that is done is nothing short of amazing. But again, going back, the less controversial figures like Da Vinci, there is definitely something to be wondered. Of course, Steve Jobs is a whole another. We can go into a whole another discussion about him. So
lovely.
Those are some of my favorite books.
Because you love history, I would recommend the book that I'm reading currently, which is The Ocean of Churn by Sanjeev Sanyal. So he's, of course, in some way he's connected with the current government, but he's also a brilliant writer. And The Ocean of Churn is talking about the evolution of the Indian Ocean and all the cities around, and how kings were formed, how Pallavas and Nagas married to start, and how they migrated. And it's an amazing book.
Exactly. And we didn't talk about the amazing structures. When I went to Rome and I looked at the Colosseum and other structures, you just stand there and look at it and say, how did they even build all this? And closer to home, you have so many beautiful temples here. Brihadeeswara temple, even here in our backyard, Kabaleeswaram temple. Beautiful, beautiful temples. And how did they even do that? We talk. There is a lot of entrepreneurial spirit involved even in that. So, art, architecture.
The vision.
Yeah. And I might also mention, more recently, since you mentioned Teaches Bangalore, I read Unboxing Bengaluru. I don't forget the name of the author, but very nicely compiled a summary of how Bangalore has transformed over the years, from the early days to now where it is. And the different types of things that you need to consider, the various attitude changes, and both the good and the bad, and very objectively. I think he did a very good job. I wanted to read it before I came to Bangalore, even though I visited Bangalore some 20 years ago. I wanted to see how the place has changed. So that was a good read. And even more recently, I'm reading Dushyant Sridhar's Ramayana. And interesting is he gives, of course, there are lots of books on Ramayana, but he gives a very one other side of the whole story. So I find it interesting.
Brilliant, Ram. Lovely points. Find a niche, narrow down, do your research, give value-added services, get good clients, especially the large number one clients that you have in the retail construction industry. When new ideas are not panning out, dig deeper, find out more what your customer pulse is. Don't just focus on product building, focus on business building. Leave a legacy and impact. As an entrepreneur, that's absolutely important. And you said that is something you would work on. Catch them young, and marketing straddle enterprise, mid-market, and straight through to the end consumer. Do not be shy. Look for application skills. And as Ram, you have mentioned, the more you read, the more places you visit, the more interesting things you do, the more interesting you become. And it's been an interesting 30-40 minutes spending time with you, Ram, and learning quite a bit about your journey and from your journey. So on behalf of TiE Chennai, thank you very much for being on our podcast.
Thank you very much, Pravin. I appreciate it. And it's again been a real honor. I want to mention one more thing in terms of lessons learned in business building and in general in life. I put this in 3 H's: honesty, hustle, and humility. These 3 are essential ingredients, and value systems integrity is right at the top of my considerations, whether it's in personal life or in professional lives. So on that note, I want to say, Varga Tamil, Varga Tamil Nadu.
சூப்பர், தேங்க்யூ வெரி மச். அதாவது நம்ம கல்லி கிரிக்கெட் மாதிரி துண்டு காஜி கடைசியில் ஒரு பால் கிடச்சா கூட அதுலேயும் ஒரு பேட்டிங் ஆடிட்டு போயிட்டார். 3 ஹெச்சை கொடுத்துட்டு போயிருக்காரு. And the 3H, honesty, hustle, humility, underline us as entrepreneurs. Thank you once again, Ram.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pravin.
That's it for today on Breakthroughs and Blunders. Remember, every misstep is just a plot twist on the road to success. Keep learning, keep laughing, keep hustling. If you'd like to be a part of this podcast, write into us at TiE Chennai.